This is episode 2 of the series entitled The Greatest Threat That Could End the Jehovah's Witnesses in 2025. In episode 1, we looked at challenges facing the Jehovah's Witnesses globally and how these challenges could actually jeopardize the very foundation of this organization. In this episode, we delve deeper and cover how the Jehovah's Witnesses are teetering on the brink of dramatic turning point. What is happening behind closed doors is what we are going to look at in this video. Back up as we dive into uncovering the mysteries behind this fallout. Leadership under fire, a shrinking membership, and mounting pressure from within. This isn't just about lawsuits. In this episode, we uncover the deeper cracks forming within the organization and review why 2025 could be a make or break moment for their future. Stay tuned as we take you into this unfolding story. First, we look at the internal fallout of legal battles. When a global organization faces an avalanche of lawsuits, it's not just the finances that suffer. The internal structure is falling apart as well. And the challenge is that the elders, who are the foot soldiers of the governing body, and the Jehovah's Witnesses as a whole, are beginning to lose trust. Many elders are resigning, disillusioned by the organization's lack of transparency and the growing feeling of betrayal. An anonymous former Jehovah's Witnesses elder put it this way: "We were always told we were guided by divine direction, but now it's clear it's just a man-made institution." What the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses has done is to get a scripture from the Bible, Matthew 24 verse 45, about the discreet and faithful slave. They use that scripture to justify that the governing body is that discreet and faithful slave whom the master has put in charge of providing food to other slaves. And whatever they say, whatever they write, is spiritual food that is given to the members. But when you look at that scripture critically, from proper hermeneutical perspective, you do a thorough exegesis, and not exegesis, you realize that Jesus was not referring to a specific group of people, and the Jehovah's Witnesses for that matter. How come that this group only came to exist 1,800 after Jesus had died? Of course, they tried to refer to the apostles and the elders in the early church as an example of that group. But the problem is that the apostles and the elders of the early church never referred themselves to be the discreet and faithful slave that Jesus talked about in Matthew 24, verse 45.
Our fine shepherd tells us as our first example these words at Matthew chapter 24, verses 45 through 47. Who really is the faithful and discreet slave whom his master appointed over his domestics to give them their food at the proper time? Happy is that slave if his master on coming finds him doing so. Truly I say to you, he will appoint him over all his belongings. We know the Master Jesus found the faithful and discreet slave spiritually feeding right-hearted ones in 1919, and at a future time will appoint him over all his belongings. So what's the implication? Obviously, even now, Jesus fully trusts the faithful slave. And all of us, even individual members of the governing body, should do the same. But what does the voice of strangers say on this subject? Don't trust the faithful slave. He will mislead you.
Now, leaked internal documents such as the Shepherd the Flock of God manual show that elders were instructed to handle cases internally, keeping them away from law enforcement. As a result of this, there is now blame shifting and internal tension. One of the biggest challenge I have with Jehovah's Witnesses, particularly with the members of the governing body, is that they make all the decisions. They expect their members to obey their instructions. But when they make a mistake themselves, when they misinterpret the scriptures, they turn around and they try to include everyone else in the organization to be part of that mistake. Let's listen to these clips about two members of the Jehovah's Witnesses talking about what they used to believe and what they are believing now, and then explaining how that they made a mistake. Now, they're including everyone. They're including the members. They're including other levels, other structures, the lower ranks of the Jehovah's Witnesses organization. They're including other members who only followed orders. And they say, we used to believe like this. Now we believe like this. And they don't want to take up ownership. And these are people who don't apologize even when they've made a mistake.
Well, knowing this, then, we are not embarrassed about adjustments that are made, nor is an apology needed for not getting it exactly right previously. We understand this is how Jehovah operates. He reveals matters gradually when it is needed. And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible, and so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction.
Let's listen to these clips, which exemplifies what I'm talking about here.
Well, I'm sure we all agree with this fact. In recent years, there have been a lot of changes. Even since the last annual meeting, there have been many changes. Some of them perhaps are a little surprising or may seem to be sudden. Perhaps we could be a little guilty with regard to that. For example, our view with regard to the number of anointed ones remaining on the earth. Now, for many years, what did we think? We thought, well, that number would go down and down and down and down. Now, I don't know about you, but me, when that report came out, just how many partakers? And what were we thinking? Well, probably, maybe we didn't say it, but we were thinking, the number will go down, 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 and there'll be just a couple of old guys in a wheelchair. So, what about the future judgments during the Great Tribulation? Is there something that we can adjust with regard to our understanding? Well, before we start to do that, let's be quite frank. Over the last few years, we've had a few changes with regard to the events that occurred during the Great Tribulation. And if you've been in the truth for a while, sometimes it's a bit hard to remember, was that what we used to believe, or is this what we believe now? So to help us to make sure that we've got some idea of some of the events that occur during the Great Tribulation, let's look at this review. Once the Great Tribulation starts, so we saw there in the chart with the destruction of Babylon the Great. So once it starts, is there a door of opportunity for non-believers to actually join us in serving Jehovah? Is there a door of opportunity? What have we said in the past? We've said, no, there will not be an opportunity for people to join us at that time.
So blame shifting and internal tensions. Reports reveal that members of the governing body are blaming local congregations for mishandling abuse cases, creating major rifts within the leadership. Just imagine, they produced the manual, they gave the instructions through their service department as to what to do whenever there was an alleged child sexual abuse, and then they turn around, they start blaming elders of congregations. Leaked internal documents, such as the Shepherd the Flock of God manual, show that elders were actually instructed to handle abuse cases internally, keeping them away from law enforcement. When there was an allegation, they first reported to HQ, which told them what to do instead of reporting to the police, that their safety was priority. These are outraged members who believed and trusted that their safety was a priority to the organization, particularly the safety of their own children. And this now is leading to membership exodus. Jehovah's Witnesses have always prided themselves on their tight-knit community, but now the cracks are showing and many members are walking away. They are actually walking away in thousands. A lot of publishers are now inactive. Between 2028 and 2023, the US saw a 10% in active publishers, with many citing handling of abuse cases as their main reason for leaving. And then there's the impact of negative publicity. Survivors and activists have taken to social media, exposing the organization's secrets and driving a wave of disillusionment, especially among young members. You know, the Jehovah's Witnesses have serious problems with young members. They have failed to hold on to young members. As the Pew Research reveals, 60% of young members born from Jehovah's Witnesses families never stay. It's the biggest attrition of any religious group in the United States. Now, the leaving of members has serious financial implications for the organization. As the membership shrinks, so do donations. If you're enjoying this video, kindly do me a favor and show your appreciation by liking, subscribing, and smashing that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. If you have any question, clarification, or you just want to make your voice heard, please put it in the comment section below. I value your comments. With fewer members, the organization faces a steep decline in revenue. The Guardian reports that this drop in donations is directly tied to the growing legal scrutiny. And the Jehovah's Witnesses have turned to desperate measures. As they say, desperate situations call for desperate measures. They are selling properties and cutting costs. Unfortunately, this may not be enough to turn the tide. The sale of their Brooklyn headquarters was just the beginning. The organization has unloaded several other properties in desperate attempt to generate cash. It's been reported that much of this money is going towards the legal defense. But the question is that for how long can they keep this up? To reduce the operation costs, smaller congregations are being merged or closed entirely. And you have to also know that the Jehovah's Witnesses has grown on the back of free labor, which I call holy slavery. Despite mounting lawsuits regarding labor exploitation, the organization continues to depend heavily on unpaid volunteers to maintain properties and produce literature. Do you now understand why this is the greatest threat that could end the Jehovah's Witnesses in 2025? With mounting lawsuits, financial strain, and disillusioned membership, Jehovah's Witnesses are facing a storm that could mark the end of their global influence. The question is, will they survive? Or is 2025 the year that we witness the ultimate downfall of the Jehovah's Witnesses? In the next episode, episode 3, we explore the long-term consequences of these legal battles and what they could mean for the future of the Jehovah's Witnesses organization. Don't miss. If you have enjoyed this video, show your appreciation to the effort that has gone into this video. To do so, like, subscribe, and smash that notice bell so that every time I upload a new video, you will be notified. If you have any question, any clarification, or you just want to make a contribution and make your voice heard, please do it in the comment section below. I value your comments dearly, and I take time to read each and every one of them. Also, if you think that someone else can benefit from the information provided in this video, don't forget to share it with them. Share with as many people as you can. Now, if you didn't watch part 1 of this video, click on this link. For part 3 of this video, click on this link. To watch the full series, click on this link.